A generation to generation Cowboys and sports talk. My dad, my partner, my co-host, Cowboy Joe 64.
I am your father.
Just to get the Cowboys 2 good games to hopefully understand that they need to go receiver and go high with this next pick.
Yeah, that's really what this is gonna be about. But all right, what it do, people? Happy Friday. You're looking live at Generation to Generation Cowboys and Sports Talks, and I'm the host, DJ Itelluwhat. Join my co-host, my dad, Cowboy Joe, also Cowboy Joe 64 on Twitter. And we're back with our Friday Night Live. And got a few things we want to talk about. You want to go ahead and jump it off? What have you been hearing about?
So we got Jameis Winston signed with the Giants. What do you think about that?
I'm happy for Jameis. A lot of these other quarterbacks, they get time to just linger around the league when they're not even that good. So, Jameis is I'm happy for him. He's gonna be a backup, I'm sure. But I'm happy for Jameis. I like Jameis doing the commentator thing. He was like the center of attention at Super Bowl weekend. He was pretty funny, and it was pretty good. That's his personality. That's what he gonna be good at. Like, he good at football, but he is kind of goofy. But
He gonna do like Cam Newton has done, or
yeah, he gonna be better than that. He gonna be a big personality on TV. He showed that with what he did Super Bowl weekend, and that really got him a job, because remember, he asked Saquon. He said, Saquon, one of the things was he said, Saquon, I'm a free agent, so did you see that?
no, I didn't see it.
So he said, Saquon, I'm a free agent, so who do you think should hire me as a quarterback? I'm a free agent. And Saquon said the Giants. I'm just gonna show it to you real quick, because let me see, it was pretty cool. So he got that job, you need to be shouting out Saquon. Let's see, Jameis, because Jameis, so yeah.
While you pulling that up, I think what a lot of people miss when they talk about the backup quarterback, which I think he's gonna be a backup, but a lot of people say, well, if Dak get hurt, the season is over. If Mahomes get hurt, the season is over. Lamar Jackson, whatever. But what people don't talk about is, what if Patrick Mahomes or Dak or Lamar Jackson, what if they pull a hamstring and they're out 4 games? Or what if they, hit their finger on a helmet, which a lot of quarterbacks do, and they, sprain their thumb and they're out 5 weeks? The question is, can your backup quarterback, go 4-1 or 3-2? Or do you have somebody that's gonna go like 1-3 or 0-4? That's the thing. So that's the great thing about having him. He come in, have to play 4 or 5 games. He gonna give you a chance to win every game.
Oh yeah, he gonna definitely give you a chance to win every game. Here you go, right here though. Oh, let me see. Let's see. Okay, here we go.
Agency, man, I'm a free agent.
Oh, hold on a minute. Let me see something. All right, here we go.
I really don't got no job. Who should sign me in free agency? I think New York. Who? Okay, brother. Thank you. Hey, one more question, Saquon. One more question. In this free agency, man, I'm a free agent. I really don't got no job. Who should sign me in free agency? I think New York. Who? Okay, brother. Thank you.
Did you hear it?
Yeah, I heard it.
Yeah.
He was on Radio Row, yeah. So yeah, that was a good pickup. That would have been a good pickup for Dallas. So, we really, at this point, we're in the market for a backup quarterback. They got Will Greer, and I actually like Will Greer the first couple times he came through. And I don't know if you know this, but when he came out of high school, he was like one of the top recruits in the nation, like Quinn Ewers, Will Greer was. But he played okay in West Virginia. But I kind of like this game. But yeah, a quarterback like Jameis, that's the way you want to go, because like I said, he's gonna come in and he's gonna win games, and the team is gonna play good around him too.
He's a locker room guy. So the thing about that is with the Cowboys is what I've come to figure out. Well, I've come to realize is that they are really, really, really banking on the draft for a lot of these things. A lot of these things that we're looking at that we just feel like, what the heck is going on and what are they doing? You know what I mean? And a lot of a lot to them, their answer is the draft. You see, really, they did not change their philosophy at all. They haven't changed their philosophy at all as far as free agent signings. I'll say they did on free agency signings. They did volume, which was different. But as far as it's like the bottom line being cheap, not really spending a lot in free agency, they didn't change that. But as far as really putting a lot into the draft and like really basing your whole season on the draft, that's what they did because they've done that for the last 2 years. And the team that we already have right now is good enough. Like Dak, I don't care what people say. People can talk about Dak and all of this and all of that. You can say what you want to say. Just like you can talk about Lamar. He only got one more playoff win than Dak. So, I mean, whatever. So you want to talk about them, you can talk about them. But they are good. You know what I'm saying? Dak is a good quarterback. And so, and there's not a lot of those in the NFL. He's top 5 at least. And if he's not top 5, he's top 10. Well, in this NFL, a top 10 quarterback will get you to the playoffs no matter who your roster is, according to everybody. So what I'm saying is our team that we have right now, constructed the way it is, Dak being our quarterback, if Dak is healthy and CD is healthy and our defense is healthy, like Micah is healthy and a couple of our star players is healthy, we're good enough to make the playoffs just as it is. You know what I'm saying? So it's not a situation to where, we need that extra oomph to get over the hump. You see, because it's like this to me. It's like, yeah, we're good enough to make the playoffs, but to me, it's real simple. We're good enough to make the playoffs, but when you get to the playoffs, when you get to the playoffs, you gotta have a system and a coach to where a system, a GM, a coach, and players to where you can say, okay, this is what we do best. That can't nobody stop. And then when the other team hones in on that and stops that, then that's when the coach comes in and say, okay, we was prepared for them to stop this, but are they going to stop this? Because this is a surprise that they didn't think about. And then they're going to do the same thing to us. And our coach just has to outsmart the other coach. Like, like Sean McVay. I don't care what team, who he has. He is a smart coach. Like you can never count them out. You can never count the Rams out because Sean McVay will out coach you. He will figure it out.
They're gonna be back this year.
They're gonna be back this year, so they can say F those picks because they don't need them. Because in their division, the way that they play and their coaching, the coaches in their division, 9 times out of 10, Sean McVay is gonna be one of the top coaches in that division. He's gonna out coach the other coaches, and so they'll get a wild card. And if they don't get a wild card, they'll miss it by one game, and that's just their MO. And that's because he's a good coach.
And I was thinking today, I was kind of thinking about this, and I was just saying, we're talking about the health of Dak and CD and Micah. I think people are kind of underestimating the 49ers coming back too, because if they have a healthy McCaffrey, if Ayuk is healthy, if they have, of course, they're going to have Brock Purdy, they're going to draft well. So, I mean, I wouldn't count the 49ers out. They still got Fred Warren. I think he was a little banged up last year too, so. I mean, 49ers gonna bounce back. They ain't out for the count.
Nah, homeboy put some fear in everybody in the league today. Well, I know he put some fear in me when he made that comment yesterday. They GM, what's his name? They went to did he go to Stanford? Where did he go?
You talking about he played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm just losing my train of thought.
Yeah, me too. But
he Hall of Fame. I know what you're talking about. He said, what did he say?
He said I don't know why everybody's making a big deal. There's this thing that we call the draft, and we have a plan. And so I don't know what everybody's talking about. So that lets me know.
It's right Lynch, there. Right?
John Lynch. So he not somebody that plays around. When John Lynch says something like that, you pretty much can take that to the bank.
If you're the 49ers, I mean, you playing with house money because you've been two or three recent Super Bowls. I mean, you've been right there. So that, I mean, they have no doubt that they're gonna bounce back, which leads you back to our team. You know, that's the kind of philosophy that we have got to have. And you said something that caught my attention, and we haven't talked about this yet. So we got to talk about Cavante Turpin. You know, getting his generational money, the highest paid player in the league. And I got to think that this year, one of the things that Brian Schottenheimer is going to do, and I've been kind of communicating with some content creators about this. My thing with Turpin, we've talked a lot about this Cowboy receiving core, and I'm going down the hill that Jonathan Mingo and Tober, they can't be your number two and three receiver. If you do, you're going to lose, and you're going to lose big. But I think we got to draft a receiver and sign a veteran like Keenan Allen, Stephon Diggs. But where I'm going with that is, I don't really myself. I think Turpin is the wild card in the whole group. I don't think Turpin is a two, three, or four receiver. I think Turpin is going to be that guy that
The
when you're
gadget
playing a
guy.
team like you're saying earlier,
Yeah.
he's that Joker card where
The
if you're
gadget
gonna be
guy.
if you're gonna be in games where they might, shut your run down for a minute, or they might stop CD, or hopefully we have a Keenan Allen or a Ted or Luther Burton. But Turpin is gonna be that guy that Schottenheimer is going to have to figure out a way to just put him in the game and get him matched up on a linebacker or a second or third DB, and guys just can't cover him.
Well, yeah. So that brings me back to my original points. I kind of got lost with it, but my point was, see, like the Cowboys' philosophy is they've been putting a lot into the draft. You know what I mean? So for the last 2 years, they haven't had good drafts. I don't care what nobody say. They can talk about Will McClay and all of this and all of that. For the last 2 years, they haven't had a good draft. And so what that ends up with is you end up getting eliminated in the first round of the playoffs. And also if that goes down for a season-ending injury, then you're toast. So you can just write the season off at that point. So they
Unless you have a good backup quarterback.
yeah, unless you have a good backup quarterback. But most teams, the
Hmm.
good backup quarterback ain't gonna take you to the Super Bowl. Or ain't gonna,
Well,
what
yeah,
I'm saying. So the bottom line is they put a lot into the draft, and they have to hit. So it really just all depends on the draft. Like Devontae Turpin, and you said Mingo and Tolbert. Well, they won't be our second and third receiver if they address that need in the draft, and then also with the running back position. They won't, all of these off. We won't even be worried about what happened in the offseason because they putting so much into the draft that it's almost common knowledge that they gonna draft a running back and a receiver in the draft. If they don't, then they are gonna lose. You know what I mean? So they have to do that. They put themselves in that position. So it's kind of like um their philosophy, we're gonna see what part works, because if they hit on their draft picks, then those are two dominoes that fail. Y'all got the a complete team with a dynamic offense again and a good defense again. And now we're finna see that when we get to the playoffs or when we get into the season, if we remain healthy, we're finna see if Schottenheimer can outcoach the rest of these coaches, because that's what it's going to take. You're not going to be able to come in here with Dan Quinn um, running zone when he been running man all year, and all of a sudden we trying to figure out why the score is 42-20 because the defense just looks depleted. And you're not going to have a situation where the offense Dak just can't get it going because you got players like hopefully a Genty, or you got players like hopefully a Ted, or
or Marion Hampton,
or
or
yeah, or Marion Hampton, somebody that if that can't get going, we can ride this wave out. You know what I mean? Like
and I
like
still think we
Saquon.
need to double dip at running back.
They need to. They have to. They really have to. It's just always like Saquon. Jalen Hurts is not all world, but he didn't have to be, because they can hand the ball off 30 times a game and let Saquon cook. So it doesn't really matter. Like Jaden Daniels. Next year, Jaden Daniels gonna have a slump. Most sophomores do, but if he has a good running back and he got good players on his team, that's gonna help a lot.
They
You
have
see,
a good draft, and they ain't done. The Commanders ain't done by any means. They gonna keep adding
yeah.
to their team, because that's, you got Magic Johnson. Um, hey, I want to mention. So it seems like just watching the content creators, or you kind of got two sides competing against each other. So you got the content creators, we shout them out. So on one side, you got Foots, Henny, HTM, myself, you. We're team weapon. We're wanting to draft a receiver and a running back high, especially the receiver part. Then on the other side, you got the content creators. You got Vach, Lou. Shout out to Lou and Vach, and then you got Boss and a couple of other content creators. They really want to look at a offensive line. They're talking
What's
about
up, Ty?
Booker. Hey, what's up, Ty? They're talking about Booker and Josh Simmons. And then Vach, he made a great point earlier last week or this week, I forget what it was. He said that the reason the content creators we're having had this big debate, and it's a friendly debate, I call it, is the reason we're having this big debate is because the 23 and the 24 draft put us behind. So now each side is just, we're kind of almost desperate to get this type of player to fill in, what we missed out on the 23 and the 24 draft. So after when the draft is over, one side or another is not going to be too happy with the way it goes. If we get Ted and a running back or a running back and another receiver, that side is going to probably be excited. On the Vach Lou side, if we draft Josh Simmons or Booker high, they're going to be happy. I wonder if there's kind of be like a middle ground where we'll both be happy. I'm not really sure what that's going to be.
Well, that could easily be because you got to remember we got a second and third round pick, and some of those receivers are like the top 10 receivers. I'd say the bottom half of that 10 they're gonna be there in the second and third round probably.
Hmm.
Like Savion. Savion might be there in the third round. So Omarion Hampton might be there in the second. So if you was to get a lineman high in the first, and then you get Omarion in the second, and then you get Tez in the third or Savion in the third, then
Hmm.
everybody be happy. But I don't know any lineman that's going to be steals in the second round. Normally when you draft a lineman, they normally be first rounds, the ones that we know about, like the ones that we check on, the ones that we notice that's doing something every year, they be first round picks. You know what I'm saying? So I can't remember the last time a second round pick or a second or third round pick for us was a starter or something like
That's
that.
what we probably need to like we try to reach out to Lou and get him on with us so he can talk about some of those second and third round linemen that he likes. I have heard him talk about some of them, but they escape me at the moment. But I'm sure there are some linemen in the second, third round that they do like. But
I mean, like
Box as well.
if I was drafting and because we're team weapons, like Ty said he want Ted. We're team weapons, so we know what all of the receivers look like. We know what all of the running backs look like. We know what the weapons look like. We know the majority. We probably can give you weapons all the way through the fourth round,
And
probably.
I do like Josh Simmons and Booker. I do.
Right. So my thing is this: if we was drafting and we know all the weapons through round 4, which Will McClay should, you know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah.
But if we was drafting and we know all of the weapons through round 4 or 5, you know what I'm saying? We would be able to draft a lineman high. And then the rest of the draft would be weapons, and we would be fine because I
Hmm.
could draft a lineman in the first round with number 12. And then I would also figure out a way to get someone like Egbuka or Marion Hampton or Caleb Johnson and still be able to get Tez and Isaiah Bond and all
Yeah.
of them, Jack Bash. I would be able to figure out a way to get them on my
Yeah.
team, even though I drafted a first round lineman, because it's that many weapons in this draft right now. So you got DJ Giddings, and he's gonna be all the way down at the bottom. So you got Scatterboo, he way down at the bottom. So you got
Your
these
Uncle
players.
Eric really likes Scatterboo.
Yeah, he bring the funk. So you got these players like that like I said, if you know these players and you know where they gonna fall to, then you can just say in your mind, okay, well, this is my team. I'm gonna take the best player available in the first round, and then in the second round, third round, fourth round, anybody that's within a 5 point like for instance, if we pick number 43, anybody from rank 43 to 50 that's on this list that's a weapon, I'm taking them because I know what they can bring to the team, and that's gonna be
So,
people like Tez. It's gonna be people like Caleb Johnson, people like
Jalen Royals.
Jalen Royals, all of them.
And it's several backs. So
Yes.
Not Vach. Well, they did do it on the so on DallasCowboys.com on the draft show.
Hmm.
They did something that was pretty interesting and kind of risky at the same time. So one of their mock drafts this week, when they got to 12, Tet was still there,
Hmm.
but they traded down to 18.
Hmm.
They picked up an extra two, and they still were able to take Tet at 18. Now, me, if that option is there, I probably won't gamble. I probably just take him because sure enough, but it didn't. It worked out for them. But I think it's too big of a risk to try to go from 12 to 18 to pick him up.
Well, I'll
And
say this
especially,
about the Cowboys. I'll say this
Mhm.
from they
They got an
typically
extra two.
they got an extra two. Now they typically do great when they pick up in the top 13 or 14. They typically hit. When they pick in the top like that, they picking up. You know, um, people rarely fall to them. I mean, you did get the CD fall. You got the Trayvon fall, but the rest of
And
these picks,
Roy
mm,
Williams, the safety, the
yeah,
same strategy happened when they drafted him. They
yeah.
wanted
So,
him like I think he was like at
mhm.
8, and they dropped down like 4 spots, and they were panicking that they weren't going to still get him, but they ended up getting him.
Right. So it's just like, um, me personally, I'd say my thing was after I started doing the mock drafts, my thing was if Ted or Genty wasn't there, I would trade back regardless. If somebody's there and wants to trade back with me, I'll pick up because if Ted and Genty not there, the best see I'm also kind of drafting for need a little bit. So it's
But
just
would you,
like
but would you trade back if Ted was there at 12,
nah,
hoping he would be there at 16 or 18?
nah, it would be hard to do that because those are my like Ted and Genty are like my once in a lifetime players in my opinion. Like
And
no,
they
you
did, and then he was still there.
no, you do that, and a lot of people saying that he might still be there when we pick, and if he's there, and if he's there and they trade back, I'm not gonna just close my laptop.
Yeah. Now,
But if
sometimes what teams do, and this has happened before, and so what they do is they kind of have an idea who's taking what player. So they'll say, well, Ted is there at 12. If they can drop down to 16, they'll kind of have an idea the teams between them and 16 who they're taking, and a lot of times they talk to the other teams. So that might be a scenario where you might try it. That's kind of what they did with Roy Williams, but at the last minute, they found out it was another team that might move up to get him. So I suspect if you do that with Ted, you're taking a bigger risk because somebody, and and that's
but
what happened with them last year with Kincaid when they wanted a tight end the year before. I mean,
yeah, but in this draft, I mean, like in this draft, the reason why it's 50-50, you really just have to play it out and see is because you really don't know if Ted is gonna be better than Luther or Igbuka. You really don't know
I do.
because well, that's what we say, but every year it seems that way, and then it's another receipt. It's a better the it happens like that all the time. Like last year we didn't really hear that much about what's his name son Marvin Harrison Jr. We didn't really hear nothing about him. Like I mean, we did. He was good, but it wasn't like he wasn't just like what I mean. Like oh
He,
my god.
he really didn't. He really didn't have a good year, and he kind of admitted that. But he wasn't on a good team, of course.
Well, that's
But
what happens. I mean,
you
and that's
remember
why.
the receiver from LSU a few years back that everybody he went to
Dang,
Jacksonville. He played really good. Was it what was his name?
dang, what's his name? I
But
don't
no,
know who you're
some
talking about.
some of the receivers that went were really you know
I
people
mean,
had
look
high
at
opinions. Like
look.
neighbors. You really like him, and he played good. So.
I mean, he's probably he had to be the best receiver last year for a freshman,
So I would say a lot of the receivers that were highly thought of, they actually been performing pretty good. But
which is why I said that you can trade back because if you get Luther or Egbuka, there's nothing saying that they're not gonna play as good as Ted. You can get them and they can work because if Ted goes to somewhere like like let's just use Jacksonville. If Ted was to go to Jacksonville, or if Ted was to go to another team, if Ted was to go to the Saints,
yeah,
and we get Luther or Igbuka gonna be better, and then they gonna have a better year because we a better team. And so what I mean, it's just like, hey. I
But
mean,
you can agree that there are people that are rating the draft and rating the positions that they just have Ted higher than them.
yeah,
He
yeah, they
just
do.
is.
He
Yeah.
just is. It's just like, but to me, it's the same thing as like Jameer Gibbs or Bijan. Just like, yeah, Bijan is drafted higher, but Jameer Gibbs is good and he's just as good and he's going to
Most definitely.
perform just as well. So it's just like, you can, you know, that I guarantee you, if I guarantee you, nothing would have changed if they would have swapped picks. If the Falcons would have took Jameer Gibbs and in Detroit took what's his name, Bijan, nothing would have been.
That's a good example. I guess where I'm pushing back on you is my thing is if I'm at 12 and I gotta stay at 12, I gotta stay there and pick a player.
Yeah.
So based on what we've been kind of looking at me, if I'm gonna stay at 12, it's gonna have to be Ted, Genty, Simmons, Booker. Me myself, I'm thinking it's a stretch for me to take Luther Burden at 12, even Ibuka. Uh, it's some
Mm,
people got Golden now going 12, and of
nah.
course you don't have him rated that high, but
Well,
you know,
I'm so thirsty for a weapon that I'm so thirsty for a weapon that that it is a stretch for me to pick Luther or Igbuka at 12, but on draft night I would do it because I just need a weapon
and there
so
are
bad.
there are content creators that like Ibuka at 12. So I mean
I
that's
mean,
true.
we need a weapon that bad. Like we need a weapon that bad, and it's like how Brian Brothers has his 5 picks of surefire starters. We have our 4 picks or three, or we have our 3 picks of wide receivers that we feel pretty much are going to be surefire, and that's Ted, Luther, Egbuka, and now Golden. We know that they're gonna be fire wherever they get drafted. So drafting them in the first round, wherever you pick, is not gonna be a big deal to me. If it's at 12 and you get one of them, then all right.
And I
Like
like Golden myself over Luther and Ibuka. I do.
exactly. So if we had to pick him at 12, it wouldn't be no problem with me. So because he's that good.
And I really like Ibuka and Golden if you're dropping down to like 18 or 20.
I do too.
Yeah.
Whenever they go, they're gonna go back to back. So, you're not gonna be able to. You just have to. You going if the Cowboys pick one, they're gonna be one of the first to pick one or they're
Yeah.
gonna be one of the last to pick one
Now we're
because
hearing a lot of Omarion Hampton at 12. So
yeah,
you good?
because
I mean, you good with that one?
no, I'm not because I would pick Caleb Johnson over Omarion Hampton.
I've heard some people say that.
When I heard Brian Broaddus and them compare that, I started going back and watching film, and I was just like, yeah, I see what they saying. Omarion Hampton is not a home run hitter. Caleb Johnson is. Okay,
Mhm.
so you know what I mean. Caleb Johnson, he gets the ball, he can score, he can touch the field goal post on any given play. Omarion Hampton,
I think Caleb Johnson was the back that I saw when I saw him. He reminded me of DeMarco Murray, but
yeah,
everybody
he
was
can
saying
touch.
that about all the backs, but it was actually him.
Omarion Hampton, he's like the Zeke running back. He don't run you over.
Yeah.
He gonna be bruised up pretty quickly. You know what I mean? But the guy is a Ty said he picked Henderson over both. Well, Henderson is gonna be there in
Yeah.
the third
Yeah.
round or so.
I like Henderson. I
We
like
both like
Henderson.
Henderson and Judkins. But
Henderson to me is the closest thing to your guy Detroit that you like.
yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs.
He's the closest to Jameer Gibbs. When Henderson
Yeah,
gets the ball,
yeah.
you better figure out what you're doing pretty quick because he will take it to the house, just like Gibbs.
I was watching somebody the other day, and I was just like, "Why isn't he not on somebody's board?" I got to figure out who that was. But
Travion Henderson.
nah, it wasn't Travion Henderson. It was somebody else, and I was just like, "Wow, why he not on nobody's board?" But
Henderson really won that Texas game because right before half, Texas, I think they were in the wrong defense and they were spread out. He caught that pass out of the backfield before they looked up.
yeah, he had went like 40 yards down the field.
I mean, like he went from like 0 to 40 in like a split of a second.
Yeah, the
So
game was over.
I like Henderson. Now if we ended up with Henderson, I'm great.
Yeah, me too. I mean, but it just depends on where you getting Henderson at.
You got to get him in the second round. He's not gonna be there in the third.
Dylan Sampson is nice too.
Henderson and Junkins, the Ohio State running backs, they would not be there in the third.
Yeah,
Now
nah.
you like Junkins when we was watching Ohio State, you didn't even know who he was, and when you figured out it was him.
No, I was talking about Bayshore Tootin or Tutton. Bayshore Tutton. He's the Virginia Tech running back.
I've been hearing
He
a lot about him. I haven't watched him.
Oh yeah, he was nice when I was watching him. He was nice. I was like,
Now,
yeah,
have you
see,
watched the Miami running back?
mm-mm, I gotta watch him. But yeah, this guy, it's just like he like what they thought Deuce would be.
Who?
That's what he is. The Tutton guy from Virginia Tech. He what they thought Deuce would be. You know what I mean? Because he like he's so fast that it's like he's so fast that it's like it's like looking at something crazy when he be running.
Mhm.
It's like you be like it just doesn't make it just doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? It's just
And
like
this is why I say the Cowboys, despite the fact that they signed the two free agent running backs, they can double dip at running back. And I was telling you the other night, don't underestimate the Cowboys' fifth round picks.
well
It's gonna be some good players in the fifth round. You just gotta pick them, and you
yeah,
probably
like
can
this guy.
get another back in the fifth round.
Like this guy or getting but look at this guy. Look at him. Watch how he be taking off. And it just be like you be like, wow. Like he hit the hole, he be gone. They don't be catching him at all. You see that?
I heard a lot about him. Yeah.
He be doing
And where
that.
do they have him going? Where's he rated on Tankathon?
He not even on Tankathon.
Because they only go to what, the fourth?
Yeah. Or they go to like 120 or something like that. But look at him though. I mean, look at him. He catch the ball, it's a wrap. He's gone. You know what I mean?
So he's gonna go to a team in the fourth or fifth round. So again, don't underestimate the fifth round. We got 3 fifth round picks. You could get somebody like him in the fifth and combine him with one of the other backs we was talking about. And I heard Brian Broaddus today said he don't even think the running backs that we took, one of them, he's saying right now he don't even think they're gonna make the team. The running back that we got from Carolina, is it Sanders?
Yeah, I can tell. Yeah, I can tell you
That's
that.
the other guy?
Miles Sanders. Yeah.
Miles Sanders. So
So
I
you're
said,
talking to people that play fantasy. So that's a good way to people that play fantasy. It's a good way to judge these players because you know how good they are because you will know if he said Shiloh will be a Cowboy. I hope Shador will be a Cowboy. They're talking about Shador falling.
I don't think Shador is gonna fall. He's gonna go to the Giants. But to your
Oh my
point,
God, that's gonna be so sad.
if Shiloh is in the fifth round, I'm absolutely taking him.
Why?
You say why?
Yeah, Shiloh ain't that good.
Man, I would take Shiloh. The games I
Why?
watch Shiloh play, Shiloh balled. He's just not he's not a physically imposing player, but Shiloh can play.
Shiloh can play, but I mean, like, if I had to choose between him and somebody like this in the fifth round, I'm taking him.
No, I'm saying you taking him and Shiloh. You got 3 fifth round picks.
Oh yeah, I'll do that. Now Shiloh, I'll do that because he gonna play. He gonna play on our team because we need a cornerback.
I think he's gonna play because I just think he's a good player. I think he's a prototypical player that you can have on your team. Now let me ask you this. You don't think Shiloh can do what Jordan Lewis has done all these years? I think he can.
No, I mean I'm not gonna disrespect Jordan Lewis like that right now.
I'm not disrespecting Jordan Lewis. I love Jordan Lewis, but I think Shiloh can play that kind of role.
He can play that kind of role. I just don't know if he's gonna play it as good as Jordan Lewis. We are talking about the top. We are talking about the best nickel corner in the league right now.
I give you that, but what I'm saying is he would have a spot on my team, and I would figure out a way to play him.
Well, Shiloh is a safety, but
Yeah, but he's a safety, but he can play in a nickel and dime and play a role.
in Matt Eberflus system, that's what he would be doing.
Yeah, so
You know what I'm saying?
but
Because
if
he's
I-
not. Because he's not.
if I got an extra fifth round pick, if he's there, I'm gonna probably take him.
Because he ain't gonna be playing over Wanye and Bell.
No.
That ain't happening.
He's not, but you can find a spot for him to play on your team.
Yeah, nah. I would take Shiloh. I would take Shiloh. And if everybody keep talking about Shador falling, man. If Shador get to like 9, I'm trying to go get him at that point.
The Giants are gonna draft Shador.
What if the Giants draft Cam?
I mean, who do they have Cam going to if Shador's going to the Giants at 3? They got Cam going number 1.
Yeah, and they also got Jackson Dart getting picked before Shador.
I will say this, and it's gonna be like a circus. If he's there, if Shador was there at 12, I would take him.
Oh yeah, man, all day. That would
But
be it. That would change everything.
but it's a lot of people that a lot of people that like Dak. It's a lot of people that think Shador is not that good of a player. But this it's a fun debate.
Yeah, it's a fun debate, and it's just
I
it's
would I
just
would say this: it's gonna be one person in the Cowboys draft room that's gonna want to take him, and you know who that is.
no for sure. Yeah, they'll probably have to hold him. They'll probably have to
Yeah,
sedate
they gonna.
him.
Well, no, they're gonna do him like they did him with Manziel.
Yeah, push him up against the wall.
Yeah, but
They
he will
say
want to
they're
take
not
him.
taking him that contract almost guaranteed, but that don't matter.
That's
That
what people.
contract don't
Yeah,
matter.
that's the part. That's the debate.
Yeah, that contract don't matter. We see what's happening with all these other quarterbacks that got guaranteed contracts. It means nothing. They can
Go
get
ahead and stop
traded.
that film.
Yeah,
But
they can
yeah,
get traded,
but
or they
yeah,
can get traded, or a team might just
but I don't
uh
I don't think Shador is gonna be there.
nah. Well, I don't know, but I will say this. Me personally, Ty, what I've been doing in all my mock drafts, I've been taking Jalen Milroe. I've been taking him in all my drafts because we don't have a backup quarterback right now. We got Will Greer, but I think that this
Yeah.
is Dak 10th year. I mean, how long do we expect Dak to be prime Dak? But because he's in his prime right now, I guess, but he got hurt last year after he ran the longest. So I'm a Dak fan. I like Dak. I want Dak to succeed, and I think that Dak is at that point in his career to where like he figured out the game like how Tony Romo did. And so, it's just like if we give him the tools that he needs to succeed, he's going to deliver. If we give him a good running back, if we give him a good,
You talking
uh,
about Dak?
yeah, Dak.
Oh
If
yeah.
if we give Dak a good running back and give Dak another receiver to throw it to and another tight end and a good line, he's gonna perform. He's gonna be all right. And so, but at the same time, this is his 10th year in the league, so you got to start preparing for the next wave. Which you get a chance to get somebody like Jackson Dart, or you get a chance to get somebody like Jalen Milroe.
Where do they have Jalen Miro right now going on Tankathon?
I think
Where
you
they got
swing.
him going?
I think you
No, where
swing for the fences and get him if
no,
you
I'm saying
can.
where do they have him right now on Tankathon going to who and where?
Let me see. Last time I checked, I think they had him going to Oakland. Let me see. Right now, they got him going.
Yeah, you really like Jalen Miro. It's just going back to what I said earlier. We're behind the A ball, and we need so many
What
players.
happened to George Foreman? Somebody just text me George Foreman.
I haven't heard anything on that.
Um. Oh man, George Foreman has passed away at age 76.
Wow.
Wow. R.I.P.
That's,
George Foreman. Man.
that's
Uh,
breaking news. We were just watching the Ali Farmer fight a couple weeks ago.
we was just watching it. Uh, man, let me see where they got dang. Let me see where they got Jalen Milroe going. They kind of threw me out. 68. They got him ranked 68, so they got him going to 71 to the Saints at 71 in the third round.
That's in the third. And
Mm-hmm.
that's about right. Now, again, if you're the Cowboys in a regular year when you've had good drafts, if you had a good draft in 23 and 24 in the third round, but we behind the
Mm-hmm.
A ball right now. So, man, that's a tough pick. If I had an extra three, I would absolutely do it. If they trade down and pick up an extra three, I think that would be,
Well, see, they got us taking Trevion Henderson in the second round, and then they got us taking Jack Besh in the third. See, that's just to
who you got
me
to take it in the first.
Kelvin Banks.
I think Kevin Banks is gonna be gone. Now that would be. Now let me say this. I love Travion Henderson. The Jack Best love. I've watched him. I don't have him rated higher than some of the other guys we've been talking about. Would I
Yeah.
want Jack Best on my team? he would be a terrific player, but I just don't think he is good as Jalen Royals or
Trey
Trey
Harris.
Harris. A lot of people like him over his teammate Savion, but I think Jack Best. Let me say this: if I was building a team, I would take Jack Best on my team right now. If I was just trying to put my team together, I would throw him right in there with Mingo and Tolbert, and I think Jack Best could end up being better than them. But
Well, I don't think he's gonna be better than Savion.
then who?
Savion.
Yeah, Savion. A lot of people you just questioning his receiving skills, but he's a player that he's gonna have to have he's gonna develop. You're gonna have to really be smart how you use him. You're gonna have to have a good receivers coach. Let's go ahead and do. You want to just go ahead and drop off so you can go work on your thing, or you want to do like a quick draft? What time is it? We don't be on too long.
We can do a
What time
quick
is it?
drive. I will play Savion. Oh, go
Just
ahead.
do one with no trades. That way you can bounce off.
All right. I would do Travion. And play him like an X receiver or a tight end.
The receiver, Savion Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gonna play X. He gonna move him around. He gonna come out of the backfield too. He's that kind of player.
Yeah. He sure is.
But that's a good example while you getting the draft ready. I've been talking with content creators the last several weeks about we need a Keenan Allen, we need a Stephon Diggs, because if you got a Stephon Diggs or a Keenan Allen with CD, if you have Savion Williams, he's not under pressure to come in and just be like that guy. He can just kind of, get in the groove, learn the game, work with the receivers coach, kind of do some of those things that we've been talking about doing. If you don't have Keenan Allen or Stephon Diggs and Savion Williams, you take him and try to put him in that role. That's not gonna be good.
I agree. So now I took Tet with my first pick, and I'm at 44 now. And the board goes Tyleek Williams, Xavier Watts, Benjamin Morrison, Harold Fannin, Milroe, Dart, Trey Amos, Deion Walker, Caleb Johnson.
Yeah, you taking Tyleek Williams.
Yep. All right. And then let's see. Man, okay.
And
The
this
third
round pick, you hopefully see some kind of who's the top rated player and then who's the top rated back.
The top rated player is Marcus Mbow. Remember? We were talking about him the other day.
Talking about him on Bob's show the other night with Luke.
Yeah. And then they got Andrew Makuba, Mason Taylor, man, Tez Johnson, Jalen Royals, and you got the top back is DJ Giddens, Scatterboo is next, and that guy I was just looking at, Tootin is there, and Ollie Gordon is there. Nah, man, it's hard.
So DJ Giddens is ranked what?
59. I mean, no. He's rated 92.
Woo! And then your top player on the board is ranked what?
59, and that's Marcus Mbow. That's the tackle, man. You have to take him, or me. Or you would have to take. You got Mason Taylor right there. I would take Mason Taylor, or you got Ted Johnson right there.
Tight end.
Yeah, I would take Mason Taylor. Yeah.
So you got Ted, you got Tyleek Williams, and then Mason Taylor would be your tight end.
That's what I would do.
Yeah, that would be a good pick. I got a feeling that, so I'm not even sure. And so Membu is a tackle. I don't think they would probably take him because of Guyton and Steele. Who's the next player after him?
Makuba. They ain't taking him.
What?
The safety from Texas.
Well, now a lot of people like him. He's a good player.
Yeah, but they just signed, man.
And who's after him?
Mason Taylor.
The tight end?
Yeah.
So you taking Mason Taylor. That'd probably be a tough choice for them. But I like Mason Taylor. I mean, you give me Ted and Mason Taylor now, you're going to have to get your back. In this example, you got to pick up your running back in the 5th round.
Yeah, I don't have a 5th round on this draft. I didn't even do it to the 5th.
So you kind of, I don't know if they would go all the way down to 90 and pick up
Giddings.
That's a stretch. But yeah, this is probably what we're talking about. This is how the draft gonna fail if you don't trade down. This is gonna be the position you in, and the reason you in this position. Let me stress it again before we close. The reason you are here is because of the last two drafts. You should have Devin Achan on your team right now. He will be in his third year.
Or you should have Bucky Irvin on this team,
Bucky Irvin or Braylon Allen would be on your team right now.
and that'd be a starting running back.
So you're gonna take the tight
Mason
end.
Taylor. Yeah, I'm
And
gonna
so
take him.
now in the fifth round, you
You gotta
gotta
get.
hope some of these other backs, and they probably will. It'll be a couple of backs there in the fifth round. Your guy you've been watching tonight, he's probably gonna be there.
Oh
So
yeah.
it ain't all bad. You know, you can probably
Nah.
still get two backs
You
in
can
the
get
fifth
Ollie
round.
Gordon, DJ Giddens, Scatterboo, and him.
Not in the fifth.
Well, why you say that?
They're gonna be gone in the third and fourth for sure.
Mm. Whoo. Well. Mm.
Your running back from SMU might be there in the fifth. Your guy you just watched earlier.
Mm.
It's gonna be some backs in the fifth.
Well,
So
yeah,
we
you're
good.
not gonna be washed out.
But this would be a good draft if you got Ted Tylee Williams.
Oh yeah,
He
nah,
probably
you
starts.
ain't no probably. He gonna start.
And then you got a tight end
Oh
that
yeah,
a lot of people are not happy with Jake Ferguson. I'm not, but
I don't know.
we need a tight end 1A and 1B,
Well,
and this will be that. You're looking good right here. This will
yeah,
be an A plus draft.
yes sir. It would be an A+ draft. No
So we can go ahead
question.
and wrap.
You got Ted with CD, and you got Mason Taylor. Yeah, your offense finna be
And
cooking.
Tylee Williams.
Tylee Williams disrupting the line of scrimmage and for your run. You got the best. You got one of the. You got one of the. He's the top. He's the second rated defensive tackle.
Hmm. Yeah, I
So
mean
he's
that would
not.
be a
Yeah,
great draft.
yeah. That'll be an A+ draft, and that right there, that draft right there, that'll have you competing in the division.
Now, what you just did right there, we're gonna keep saying this. If they had did what we just did in 23 and 24, we in so much better shape.
Well, we're gonna see if they had a change of philosophy because of the coaches, because they can't just they can't just keep doing this. If they mess up this time, it's over.
And a lot of the guys, like at that event last night, I mean, look, I'm not gonna be as negative on Eberflus as I've been. Just let's give him a chance. The players, let me say this: we got two coaches. We have coaches. The players are gonna play hard for. We that's kind of what we're seeing.
Well,
So
like I said, for all of those people that have doubt in Eberflus, I just want to remind you that we have one of the best defensive players in the NFL.
yeah. I mean,
You know,
that's true.
so and then we also have like
You got Bland. You got the.
yeah,
I think the linebackers we signed gonna be solid.
yeah.
I
So you
think
got
Odigizua, he's gonna.
you got Osa.
I'm feeling good about the players that we got.
Yeah,
I'm
you got players that, like I said, you got players that if they didn't even have a coach, they would be solid. If
I
they didn't
believe
even have a coach.
if Dak stay healthy, if Dak, CD, and Michael play 17 games, I'm telling you right now, we don't need much to be in an NFC Championship game.
Well,
We
I've
don't.
been saying this about everybody. They keep saying we're not as good as the Eagles and we're not as good as the Commanders. Well, I wanted to say this: we barely missed the playoffs last year without Dak. We missed it by
Yeah,
like one game. We win the Bengals game, we in the playoffs. So imagine if we
and we
had
would have
Dak.
swept the Commanders.
If we would have had Dak, we would have been in the playoffs. Now, what we do when we get in the playoffs is different, but
Yeah.
we would have had Dak, we would have made the playoffs because we would have at least won one more game because of Dak, because that's all it would have took. So
I think we're closer than people think. I think the Eagles, everybody that win a Super Bowl, they don't come back the same way.
we'll see football. To me, this is why, I mean, then I'm gonna say this and we're gonna wrap. But this is why in the NFL, this is why, you can be close, but being close is not enough. And that's because of the way that teams operate. Like for instance, Philly was always close, but then in the offseason, they did what they needed to do to get them over the top. The
Yeah.
Redskins, they wasn't always close, but they did what they did in the offseason, and that got them close. because they what they're doing now is gonna get them closer. And so we're close, but what we do in the off season prevents us from getting over the top. So you got to address, you know, how you adjust from season to season is huge because every team, like the Vikings this year, I guarantee you the Vikings not going to be 15-2 again or 16-1 again, whatever they were. It's
Even though they
hard.
and they loading up though, but
They tried, but it's just gonna be
yeah.
hard to do that again because it's different. Because every team, every offseason, the offseason is a big deal on how your team performs the next year. It's huge. If you have a bad offseason, you're gonna have a bad you can easily have a bad year if you have a bad offseason. It's
But I
just
but I think we kind of, to me, I can just kind of see our team is being better than people think. I think we're gonna kind of sneak up on some people, especially if we have a good draft.
I'm
So
just
let's go
glad that
ahead and
everybody talking about us and the players. I seen like I feel like the players and the coaches I feel like they finally get it. Like it's just like everybody's just like y'all really are sorry. Y'all haven't been to
and
the
I really think they're gonna get Mike a sign here soon. So it's I
Micah
think
is the heart and soul of the team,
they know that. That's
and
why the
he's the
coaches was
face.
at his thing last night. The coaches was out there.
Yep, he's the
They
face
know
of
that.
the he's the face of the franchise. He is the face of this. Not Dak, is him.
That's why Shotty and Eberflus was at an event last night.
Exactly. So we're
And
not
Dak
worried
wasn't
about
there,
that.
which was odd. Maybe he not
Well,
in town.
no, and then no, Dak is out of town. Dak is out the country.
Oh,
And then Dak, like I said, Dak is the alpha. We don't Dak like the president. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So
but
it's not.
Micah is the face of the team.
Yeah. He's the
He's
face
the
of the
face of the
team.
franchise. He
He
is.
is. He is. He
Well,
got
he is
better.
now. Yeah.
He is. He got better relationships with. When it's like he got better relationships with the big dogs. Like like the big dogs got relationships with him. Like CD and Dak, they tight, but it be feeling like CD and Micah is just like they tight. You know what I mean? So it be feeling
Yeah.
like, like if you're gonna see a player in the suite with Jerry at the Super Bowl, it's gonna be Micah.
And Micah and Jerry, they one of a kind. They really, they have that alignment with the way they, do
Terrence
things. The
Terrence
media.
Parsons Terrence Parsons was hinting at that Jerry and Micah been alone.
Yeah, Micah. Look, Jerry. Like, I'm gonna say this. We're gonna wrap. I keep saying we're gonna wrap. Jerry, to me, feels the same way about Micah that he felt with Dez. Micah and Jerry, Dez and Jerry. Jerry just likes those kind of players. That's why, Jerry really like Michael Irvin. They had that connection. Those are Jerry's kind
Mhm.
of players.
You don't think that Jerry is helping Micah get some of this Bleacher Report money? He
Oh,
is.
absolutely. Yeah.
He definitely
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
So
Jerry, he been giving him advice.
that's why he don't. That's why this contract thing ain't no big deal.
It's not.
So we're gonna leave it at that, and we're gonna wrap, y'all. We might be. Well, no, I'm having a.
We're gonna see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see tomorrow. But yeah, we'll see. But we're gonna be paying attention to anything that drops. So if anything dropping, we gotta make an appearance. We will be making an appearance, and we probably gonna have my dad's laptop up and going next week. So y'all make sure that y'all like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see y'all on the next one.
And R.I.P. to George Foreman, man, one of the
RIP to Joe
greats.
Foreman, one of the great. We just watched his video the other day. If anybody that like boxing, just go watch George Foreman versus Ali. Just go watch it because they got it in 4K now, and you can just watch it in 4K on
Yeah.
YouTube for free, and you can see it like you've never seen it before, and just watch it, and you can just see how.
And you got to remember that, he came back, he changed his life, different man,
Yeah,
born again. He came back and won a belt, won a title, and
yeah,
then had a multi-million-dollar business.
yes, and he
So
from Houston.
from Houston, yeah.
So you know what I mean. His
Uh,
special on HBO and Netflix, it was good.
yeah. He one of the all-time greats,
He without a doubt. So
inside and outside the ring.
yeah,
Yeah.
without a doubt, he broke the he's the one. He's the pioneer for having a business outside the ring with a
Yeah.
George Foreman grill. He's
Yeah.
out. He's the pioneer for that. He kicked the dough down for that. So y'all, RIP to George Foreman, man. And we'll see y'all on the next one.